Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good night, because we have people actually connected from China. Thank you for joining our first roundtable from the Sustainability Committee. The name of this event is Sustainability in SEG. So we will have very important key stakeholders talking about how the sustainability is planned at SEG with different roles. If you have questions, the dynamic of the event is going to be, we're going to be talking with our speakers, and then we will have some time for questions. Please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Avoid to use the chat for questions, so we can have a better record of what was asked during the event. And that's it. Welcome everyone, and I pass the floor to Jeffrey Schrack.
Thank you, Myra, and I'd like to also extend my welcome to everyone here on the call, and welcome to the first ever roundtable presented by the SEG Sustainability Committee. As Myra said, today's topic is sustainability in SEG. And it's great to see a large and I see growing attendance from various places around the world. So thank you, especially those who are early wee hours of the morning, for joining in. My name is Jeff Schrag, and I'm currently an associate professor of geophysics at the Colorado School of Mines. I'm also the vice president of publications on the SEG board of directors, and am the liaison for this sustainability committee that's presenting here today. My research at Mines largely focuses on computational seismology. However, over the last decade, I've actively participated and even led some humanitarian geoscience projects through Geoscientists Without Borders and other SEG-funded projects. And I've used these experiences to develop a graduate level course at Mines on humanitarian geoscience. And this is one of the required classes for our relatively new program at the graduate level in humanitarian science and engineering. So this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. It's a great pleasure for me today to be able to co-host this discussion with my colleague, Maria Angela Capello, who is well known within the SEG community for her work on sustainability, as well as mentorship of women in early career geoscientists. And Maria Angela has made long-standing contributions to the SEG. Most recently, though, she served in leadership positions on the SEG board of directors, and she's currently the chair of the SEG Sustainability Committee, as well as a director of the SEG Foundation. So welcome, Maria Angela, and I'll turn it over to you for a few words of introduction.
Thank you so much. And I want to give a warm welcome to all our attendees today, because we need to start by sharing what we do in our home, the SEG, about sustainability. So I was asked to do a brief introduction about the Sustainability Committee. And before we do that, I am a firm believer in marketing. And because of that, let me tell you that although this is the very first of our events, right? We will soon have one in January that is going to be about the Sustainable Development Goals and geosciences. What is that connection? And then in February, we are going to focus a little bit more on about the educational roadmaps to ingrain sustainability for the future in geophysics. In April, we will have around table 3, the third one, which is about sustainability and geophysics future. So let me start very quickly to give you a brief about the Sustainability Committee. Basically, we want this committee to be a platform that is able to shape new perspectives and skills, of course, and opportunities for our SEG members. With that, I would like to summarize that the sustainability, we understand that as based in 3 major pillars, which are to achieve social development, economic development within environmental protection. Our framework are the 17 social development goals launched by the United Nations, this colorful platform that we love so much. And that inspired me in 2019 to start working with Anna Shaughnessy, and currently the SPE, the SEG president, by the way, and with Imer Kasling to shape this geophysical sustainability atlas. As you can see, this wheel summarizes that article that was published this year in January 2021. What we did is a mapping of the Geosciences Sustainability Atlas by relating the geophysical techniques and expertise and skills to each one of those 17 SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So what we have is a roadmap. We are starting, so we are planting this seed. We want that seed to grow in network and knowledge and contacts and resources for our SEG members. Our mission is very ambitious, I would say. We need to advise and make recommendations to the board of directors. And most importantly, we want to ingrain the concept and framework of sustainability into the strategic and operational plans of our society. Our members of the committee are spread all over the world. And by the way, even in New Zealand, we have a committee member that we need to update our map. And we are aiming to have a good representation of all the areas of the world. Today, we are going to share with you how is that sustainability understood and ingrained and starting to percolate all other committees of SEG. And that is why we have today the representation of chairs of the committees that are perhaps closer to what we are trying to achieve, right? We have diversity and inclusion in the terms of women, etc. And you will see now how we are advancing that. With that, at this time, I finish, and I want to tell you that this is a roundtable. So it is a conversation. And I think that at this point, I think that we need to start with a personal question. And I will pass it to my co-moderator, Jeffrey, to initiate this dialogue. Jeffrey?
Thank you, Maria Angela. And thank you for that nice overview of the SEG Sustainability Committee. In terms of the format for today's discussion, Maria and Angela, we've doctored up some questions to ask of our panelists, and to hopefully they're thought-provoking, and we'll have a lot of comments and feedback from you in the audience. So after this initial dialogue, we are going to open up for questions and comments from our attendees. Feel free as we go along in this dialogue to enter your comments and questions into the chat window, and Maria and Angela and I will try to get those into the conversation earlier if possible. All right, so we'll go around and ask the first question to all of our panelists, and it would be great if the panelists would just sort of briefly introduce themselves when we call upon them, and just introduce both your professional affiliation as well as some of the key roles that you've played within the SEG and currently are today. So the first question that we'd like to ask is really just around definitions of sustainability. So given the complexity of issues around sustainability, and because the challenges have both a technical as well as a social dimension, it's very challenging to come up with a textbook definition of sustainability. And if you ask 10 people, you'd probably get 20 answers in terms of what actually sustainability is. So I always find it interesting to hear sort of a diversity of thoughts around the definition of sustainability. So the question we'd like to ask first of all, and maybe we'll go to Cengiz first, is what does sustainability mean for you personally and professionally?
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Cengiz Esmersoy. I am serving as the chair of the Geoscientists Without Borders committee. Let me just say a few things about Geoscientists Without Borders program of SEG. This is a program that has been running for about 13 years now. And what we try to do is we try to enable geoscientists globally to do humanitarian projects in areas of the world where the communities are in need. So we are in fact very tightly connected to the UN Sustainable Development Goals that Mariangela summarized. In each other projects, when people apply for a grant to Geoscientists Without Borders, we ask them, one of the questions is, which one of these 17 goals your project is going to accomplish? So we are very tightly tied into that. We have done over 56 projects globally. And we have, if you want to know more about Geoscientists Without Borders, please go to the SEG site. At the top level, you will see our webpage, and you can learn more about what the geoscientists like you and I are accomplishing globally. Now, coming back to the question, yeah, it is actually, it's very true that sustainability is kind of a fuzzy thing. You know, it's not well-defined. In fact, we, before we kind of tied up to the UN goals, we often had discussions internally in Geoscientists Without Borders program. You know, we said, what is humanitarian? You know, what is sustainable? And people will have different ideas. I'll give you two. One is the more sort of like in our industry, in the oil and gas industry anyway, if you say sustainability in a meeting, I think 80% of the people will think sustainable energy, right? Because that is a word that is being used by CEOs, by everybody to imply sustainable energies, like hydrogen, like wind, solar, what have you. So I think that's one meaning that the society has accepted, even if it's not followed by an sustainable energy. So there is another dimension of it that we in Geoscientists Without Borders particularly desire, that is this. We do these projects, they typically last about 2 years. In some village, maybe in Zambia, there is a community, have no water. So we mobilize and fund people, they go, they map the aquifers, check the water quality, they identify locations of the wells to be drilled, and often drill a couple of wells. And then after 2 years, they leave, right? So we don't want that, we want that community, with the help of local, people, maybe universities, continue doing that work. So we use sustainability in the sense that the community can sustain itself. Okay, so very important sort of measure that we use. So that's the second meaning that I think of sustainability, and there may be a few others, but I don't want to cover everything. I want to leave my colleagues some room to add in. So I'll just stop there.
Okay. Thank you, Chingis, for, sorry, Mariangela, you're going to say something, go ahead.
I was going to just quickly share, I have prepared to share a little bit of the information available about Geosciences Without Borders.
Excellent.
I think this is a flagship that makes a difference in our geosciences community. It started within SEG, and they have projects all around the world. It is basically of a humanitarian nature, and we want to appreciate all that has been done about it. If you go through the SEG website, you will see that there is a summary of the main projects with very updated information about what is the main activities that they are advancing in terms of volcano studies and preparedness of the society, landslide, I mean, all kinds of geohazards, okay? And also the direct application of geophysical methods, for example, to find aquifers, water, and earthquake studies, okay? So I think that that is available, and just wanted to share it, as I will do with also with Elaine committee. At this point, I would like to pass it back to you, Elaine. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mariangela. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Cengiz, for the introduction. My name is Elaine Matos. I'm the chair of the Women's Network Committee. And that's the committee that I'm representing in here today. I have over 20 years of experience in the oil and gas industry, mainly working in the seismic business. And I've been a member of SEG since the beginning of my career, but really being involved with the SEG only in the last 4 years or so, when I joined the Women's Network Committee. And then later, I'm also part of the Geoscientists Without Borders Committee with Cengiz, but I'm today representing the Women's Network in here. So when I think about sustainability, what does it mean to me personally? There is one definition that I really like it, and I will read it here just because I'm pretty sure that I will forget the words. But it defines sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And that's the definition of sustainability that I think applies to me as a person, and the one that I take very seriously, especially as in my role as a citizen, as a woman, and as mom. It's very important to me to make sure that the world that I'm living in today, and that I will leave the world in a better, the same way or in a better position to the future generations. So that's how I see it. So I take that very seriously. And then I think in sustainability in every single action that I take, it's in a way that you interact with people. I will always try to have a positive interaction with people. And on the same time, everything you do, you are either interacting with people or the environment or both. So I always want to make sure that my interaction with them will always be positive and leave it either as it is or in a better way. And I take that on my day-to-day. So I try to stay away from single-use plastic when I talk about environment, right? I keep my water mug in here with me all the time. People know that. I'm a big fan of hiking. I like hiking. So every time I go to local parks and I'm hiking with my kids, we always have a plastic bag with us and gloves so we can pick up the trash that some people just leave behind. And it's small things, but I think it makes a difference on our day-to-day life. As a professional, working in the oil and gas industry, I see that actually as a blessing. I know the oil and gas industry has a bad reputation in general, right? Especially when you talk about, you see the younger generations, oh no, I don't want to be involved with oil and gas. It's a dirt industry. That's not the way I see it. We bring energy to the world. Without energy, you would see that many people, you can only be developed through the energy. There is no way you can get here without energy. And I see that firsthand, right? I came from Brazil. I'm Brazilian, an underdeveloped country, and moving, and I grew up in there, and been living abroad in developed country for majority of my adult life. And some of the things that we take for granted in here, it's not the reality of everybody else in the world. But to get to this point, we need energy. And I think as a professional, I feel blessed that I can provide that energy to the world. Now, I feel more blessed because I work with seismic, and the way I see seismic is a way of helping mitigating the risks associated with the oil and gas industry. And thank you for the lovely Rio de Janeiro picture, Mariangela. And also mitigating the environmental risks associated with the oil and gas production. So I think in general, being it on my personal and my professional life, everything I do somehow does have an effect in the environment and in other people's lives. And I always try to do my best to leave a positive impact. That's my general view.
I think what you shared today brings us to something that is very, very important, which is our personal take on sustainability. So important. I would like Jeff to introduce the next speaker, please.
All right, thanks, Maria Angela. Let's now basically do the same question, but let's direct it to Aria. So what does sustainability mean for you personally and professionally?
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning and good afternoon, maybe also good evening for everybody. My name is Ari. My name is Ari Abu Bakar. Maybe let me tell a little bit about myself. My background is in the computational science. Throughout the year since my graduation from the university, I've been working in the area on the modeling and inversion of the electromagnetic and seismic wave. Right. I've been with Schlumberger for nearly 20 years. I've been working in their research organization, in the hardware-centric organization, software organization, and now in the digital organization. Yeah. My current job is the head of the data science and advisor for the digital subsurface solution. Thus, in principle, what I do is to oversee all the technology development that utilizing the artificial intelligence and machine learning for digital subsurface solution application. Yeah. Thus, I'm here representing the SEG Research Committee. There's a little bit word of the SEG Research Committee. This is, I think, one of the oldest committee in SEG. We have close to 100 members at the moment, including people from the industry and academia. We have also members that young professionals, just graduated 3 to 5 years, as well as some student members. The main charter of SEG Research Committee is similar what Maria Angela say about sustainability. We want to be a platform for geoscientists, researcher to debate, to discuss the research topic around geoscience. And our other charter is also to advise the SEG board, the director on the research matter. Some of the concrete deliverable every year that we do is we organize the post-convention workshop for our SEG annual meeting, currently called the IMAGE meeting, and also to organize the very popular special session called Road Ahead and Recent Advances. Right? And last but not least, we are also working on identifying some future hot topic in geophysics. And obviously sustainability is one of it. Now, going back to your question about what does sustainability means to me, because actually I have a very similar definition with Elaine. Because it means that I would like to do well for myself. We want to do well now to get all to fulfill of our all need, ever without compromising the future. This is what will happen, so that we do not screw up the future for our children and grandchildren, etc., etc. Right. That's what, in general, what it means for me. This professionally, since I am a geoscientist, a researcher, this what I'm thinking, this I would like to contribute to help out this with my expertise and experience to achieve that goal, right? Since I'm, for example, myself, I'm working in the oil and gas industry, thus I want to apply my experience and knowledge that I know about geoscience to maintain the sustainable energy future. For some of the topic that very interest me, as well as the committee, for example, how we can apply our geoscience knowledge to advance the CCUS application. How we can apply also most of our modeling, inversion, interpretation algorithm to assist the placement of the wind turbine, or how we can do the site characterization for the hydrogen, etc. In summary, again, I would say professionally, we want to use all of our knowledge to achieve the sustainable future. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah.
Excellent, Arya. I would like to tell you that I really appreciate what the Research and Development Committee of SEG is doing, because in many ways, that is the frontier, right? So you are like our Star Trek or Star Wars kind of the story, which is also something that, of course, we really want to include in these topics of sustainability. As we did with the other committees, I would like to share with the audience that you can find information about all committees of SEG, and in particular the research committee, on the website. Currently, we have Dr. Arya Abubakar, who just introduce his committee to us as part of the committee of research, right? He's the chair of that committee. But if you are interested in volunteering for any of the committees, and in particular with sustainability topics, you can click on that, and also not only for the committees, but also the task force teams. So don't be shy, and please come forward, because volunteering is also leading, okay, what is happening, and the conversation, the narrative that we are having, and research is one of those important narratives. With that, I would like very much to open for one of the committees that is close to my heart, and I will explain you why. I would like to open for Erika Kasperikova, that is because she's the chair of the Near Surface Technical Section. And why is that close to my heart, you may ask? Well, because believe it or not, the very first technical article that was written about applying the Sustainability Geophysical Atlas was for near surface. And it was about the results of the Forum on Infrastructure. So with that, I would like to open for Erika and let her introduce herself. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, and hello, everybody. My name is Erika Kasperikova. I am a research scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. And currently, as Maria said, I am the chair of Near Surface Technical Section. You may or may not know that this section is actually growing rapidly in the last few years. We have doubled our membership every year since 2019. And I believe currently we represent 25% of SEG members. If you would read the article on sustainability and the 17 categories that were identified there, you will find easily that near surface plays a role in most of those categories. So we cannot address all, but we can make contributions in different capacities. And I believe that unless people make it personal choice and personal contribution, we will not achieve the goal. So I do represent a large number of near surface geophysicists, but again, it goes back to what I do in my professional life. I have been a researcher in non-seismic, mainly electromagnetic or electrical methods for most of my career, and many of the applications were directed or were applied to problems that can be considered part of the sustainability. And if I would have to pick 3 of those 17 topics for near surface group, I would pick 3, which is number 6, the water, number 9, the infrastructure, and number 1, the poverty. Because the water, it's a very valuable commodity, and it may be more expensive than oil or gas or other energies. And if people don't have access to drinking water or irrigation water for farming, then we don't have equity, and people cannot basically exist. So there are many ways to help there, and I will not go into the details. Maybe we get to that through the questions. But the other thing that I do want to point out, which is very important, and I hope we can contribute to, it again comes from my long research in unexploded ordnance. So we have built technology that can find the unexploded ordnance, but to my knowledge, the uptake of those technologies, it's not on the large scale, and therefore for the countries that may need it most, it's so expensive that they cannot use it. So I am hoping that in the process of addressing these issues, we can contribute to making the technology cheaper. So essentially any area of the world that needs the technology to resolve some local issues can use it. And that basically goes also to the number 1, the poverty line, because unless people are provided the equal opportunity for existence and basically the standard of living, then we cannot really claim that all what we do is sustainable. So I think I will stop here and leave time for other people to make comments or questions.
I would like to highlight, Erika, that in fact, this is a photo of an exploded ordnance, and that was, I didn't know about it. I am Italian, but I grew up in Venezuela, right? So when I worked in Kuwait for 15 years, the unexploded ordnance issue was one of the most important, and geophysicists were helping with that when it was understood that we could detect those in the first layers of the ground. And in Kuwait, having experienced a war, this was a big issue for seismic exploration. So thank you, Erika, for all what you do. Before going to our next round of questions, I would like to show you how was the mapping done only for infrastructure, which is just a tiny bit of what that committee does in every element related to near surface application of geophysical techniques. So that is a very important and growing section of SEG, and they do have a complete set of vision and mission in their website. Let me share it very quickly before we continue the conversation. I think it's important that we can show our audience where to find information about that. And that is located again in the website of SEG, but you can just Google that, near surface geophysics, and you will find that there is their vision and mission and very much related to sustainability as well. And I would challenge Elaine, Erika, changes an area to make sure that we include our geophysical atlas and the SDGs in your narrative, because that adds to our value proposition. So there are a variety of resources available for near surface as they are available for the other committees. So with this, we continue our roundtable, because we have here a conversation. I will pass it to Jeffrey to continue the conversation.
Thank you, Maria Angela. So the next question I'd like to ask to Cengiz, and this is about GWB. So as you nicely relayed to the audience here today, GWB is really a flagship program for the SEG and other geoscience societies to showcase the role of applied geophysics and more broadly applied geoscience in working with communities to address challenges of social relevance. And so I'm wondering, you touched on a little bit in terms of sustainability, in terms of long-term going forwards with the project, but I'm wondering what have been some of the most successful strategies you've seen that GWB participants have used in terms of helping to ensure that projects remain sustainable over a longer period of time?
Right. So thank you, Jeffrey. By the way, thank you for your contributions to GWB. Maybe you can answer that question better than me, but I will try. So what are we, let me start with the question that what are we looking for in our projects, right? So the first is the humanitarian need, of course. You know, that's a very important start. And, you know, if we try to map our projects, which 56 to date, into the 17 UN SDGs, we probably can cover all of them, okay? But there are maybe half a dozen or 8 of them that are on top of the list. So we have there is no shortage of need, okay? But we are shortage of funds and getting it done. So need is number one. The second one is we are a geoscience group, so it has to have a geoscience angle to it. So we should be able to use geoscience to help the community in need. That's the second pillar of it. The third one is the sustainability. As you mentioned, we want the community keep building on what we've done after we leave. For this, I'm going to elaborate some more on that. Yes, there is another second sustainability angle, that is the students. So we require that, explicitly require that all of our projects have a significant student contribution. You know, these could be students from, preferably from the local area where we are conducting the projects. But in addition to that, quite often we get the managers of our projects we call principal investigators. They are, for example, from academia or from other nonprofit organizations. You know, sometimes these students could be from a developed country, from the US or Canada or Europe, where the principal investigator is from. So he utilizes his students together with the local students. They go out to the field to do the project, they learn. So the idea is that we want to motivate these students who are the leaders of the future. We want to motivate them, teach them, and let them see the benefits of using geoscience for humanitarian purposes. So the most successful projects, I think, one key is the students. You will not see the benefits of that for a number of years to come. But when you see that these students may be submitting proposals themselves, maybe they have been involved when they were a student. We are up and running for about 14 years now. So we are getting to that point where we can have an ex-students coming and becoming a PI themselves. The second angle is the local community engagement that we see critical for the sustainability of the project. Because the PI has this project, he's been funded for 2 years, he comes in, teaches, you know, have maybe local courses, local people involved. A lot of the time we look for a local university that is involved in the project, maybe a government agency, so that they are trained, they can keep continuing. But if you are missing that, if you don't have a local leader for these kind of applications, you know, after a while, it's just forgotten. So I think I would say the lessons learned from successful projects would be student involvement and the local community leaders' involvement in the project who can continue doing, you know, drilling more wells or training more people, continue benefiting the society.
Thank you, Cengiz. I would like now to bring Elaine to the discussion about this future of sustainability in relation to her committee. She leads the Women Network Committee. And I have noticed that the committee is advancing also locally. So to liaise what Cengiz just said, I am sharing with you the Women's Network Instagram in Brazil, as Elaine is from Brazil, but there are others in Indonesia and other regions of the world and countries of the world. I like to see these initiatives in the social media. As you can see, these are all the posts of our dear Women Networking in this case, Brazil, as they are, you know, doing many activities, forum, especially for students. But how do you envision this kind of expansion of your committee into the future for women in sustainability? Elaine, all yours.
Thank you, Mariangela. That's a very good question. So I would like to start with kind of just giving everybody a overall overview of what are the main goals and how the Women's Network Committee operates. So I think we have, I normally break that down up in three main steps, three main goals that we have. So the first one is we are very focused in promoting the gender equality and empowering all women in the geophysics, geoscience industry and academia. So that's our kind of, at the top, that's what we are looking for. How we do that? So we do that through trying our best to raise awareness and finding solutions for the challenges that all the women encounters in their day-to-day lives, in their careers, and in related fields. And we do that by expanding our networks. So one way that we notice it, as many people know, the Women Network Committee has been up since 2011, I believe. And we've been growing. Our community is one of the most active community within the SEG. So one thing that we are leveraging and that we noted that it was important to continue growing, especially outside the US and the Americas, was to take advantage of social media. And that's one thing that we've been doing it very, very actively. The other thing was, it's very important to us to help the future generations of women that are coming in, not just us here, but all the young professionals. So that was another initiative that started this year, actually was in 2019 by Maitri. And she was the one leading that initiative inside the committee, which is trying to bring in the students, that get the students involved. So that touches back on what Cengiz just mentioned. So with that, we have initiated what's called the SEG Women's Network student community. And this has grown in an exponential manner. And they are so engaged, and they use that's how they communicate, right? They use social media to communicate all the time. So at the beginning, we were focused on LinkedIn, and this is where we were sending all of our SEG Women's Network information out. But then we realized that that was not enough. We needed to rebrand ourselves and be available on the social media that the students, that the younger generation is using. So we expanded to Instagram, and it's been very, very successful in Instagram. We expanded to Twitter. We still use Facebook, because in some countries people do use Facebook. And the other thing is, all those initiatives, all those campaigns are run by the only students. So we empower them to be upfront and be communicating. So that's been very, very successful, and I'm very proud of our organization to be able to grow that quickly. As Mariangela mentioned, we have students from all around the world. So the two leaders right now, Isabela Dantas is from Brazil. It used to be Fernanda and Dorothy. Fernanda was working in Canada. Dorothy, I think, was here. But now we have Isabela Dantas in Turan. Turan is working, I believe, she's in Middle Eastern. So you have people from everywhere, and they are doing a fabulous work in communicating and expanding and engaging the younger generation. So I think those two things have helped us immensely in the last few years or so, and we plan on continue integrating that. The other part of it is to create engagement. It's not just about talking, but it's about delivering it. And our organization has been very effective in putting together training material, webinars that touch upon not only technical issues, but also on some soft skills and related to, for example, unconscious biases that women encounters on their day-to-day activities. So we create that network of support, and we have all that information available at their fingertips for free. People don't need to pay for, and it's available online on demand whenever they can use it. So I think that's been very, very useful in helping and empowering the women around the world. Sorry
Yes.
for the long-winded answer.
Well, I think it deserves it. And just to make a quick test in the audience, and perhaps Elaine, you refrain from answer, but I want to ask the panelists and the audience, do you know what SDG is closely related to the empowerment of women? Can you write it on the what number of the SDG is related to the empowerment of women? I'm waiting for people to write in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, and I am very happy. Is Tyler? Tyler is a name used for men and women in the States. Are you a man or a woman? Tyler Bardiach. Sorry, Tyler Mathison. I hope it's a man, because Mr. You know, Tyler, you were the first to answer, and I like that, because there is nothing wrong with the women. The solution has to come from the collaboration among women and men. You can find more information about that on the United Nations sites. And I like that the title of the SDG Goal 5 is Achieve Gender Equality and Empower All Women and Girls, because solutions has to initiate very early, right, in life. So there is many things that are related to that. And with that, I would also, this is why we want to empower all the committees to ingrain sustainability in what is that we do. Let me now pass it over to Jeff. We have like 5 to 6 minutes to wrap up the excellent comments that we had from all of you guys. Jeff?
Yeah, so I think the question I'd like to ask is to Aria. And you lead a very specific sort of technical SEG research committee that represents researchers across a wide variety of applied geophysics topics. This is not an easy question I'm going to ask you, but what strategies can applied geophysicists use to bridge the gap between having a technical research portfolio and dealing with the practical challenges of addressing complex socio-technical issues relating to sustainability?
Yeah. Now, thank you, Jeff. Okay, let me try to answer it in a short way. This gap that you mentioned is exactly the same gap for our traditional topic. Because if we do a complex research for geoscience, even for oil and gas or non-oil and gas, there is always a gap on whether we really address the practical challenges, right? To say it is, we have exactly the same problem. There's one thing that I can think of is you need obviously to attack or to solve the right challenge. You have to do this by even before you start working on the specific topic, to engage the end user, or in this case, the people that will benefit to it, so that you get so that you solve the right challenges, and then you do not just having like the complex mathematical method or complex algorithm, and then after that you are looking for the application where this can be benefit the sustainability. I can mention like an example. For example, in the CO2 application, right? We have tremendous wealth of knowledge of the geoscience technology to monitor the CO2 movement. Because, there is a lot of advanced technology. However, the issue in here, we can apply all this technology. However, the CO2 operation is usually one thing that the end user, important for the end user, is the low cost. To some of this technology, although is remarkable, it may not be beneficial. It is beneficial, but it may not be cost effective. It is the same challenge that we have, for example, in the wind turbine placement, right? Because they in that problem, they have actually a seismic data also. They collect seismic data. However, when they do the processing and interpretation, they didn't completely process it because the cost. Because they say that I cannot afford to do processing such as the oil and gas do. However, with this restriction, can I still get some reasonable characterization of my near surface? Those kind of the subtlety, we need to have it in mind when we are working on that topic, or even in the beginning before we start working on it. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's not a really short answer. Okay.
Thank you, Arya.
Yeah.
I would like to ask Erika a final question, and in respect of the time, because we need to aim to finish at 11, I would ask her to be short. But we want to know, what is the near surface technical section envisioning about how to ingrain sustainability in your plans, in your goals? Erika, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I will try to be short. So there are different avenues that we would like to address this issue. One that I can see also some comments in chat, it's basically acknowledging that the geophysics or the work that we do in near surface, it's closely related to many professions and many other technical applications or engineering, and collaboration with those fields. It's very important to bring the knowledge or the technical skills or approaches to the use to the communities. The second is very important. It's the students and young professionals. So we do believe that the significant effort should be made there, that we can basically provide the foundation for the next generation of our scientists that will bring the scientific application to practical use. And basically, there are many other things that we would like to focus on, but we will start with those two.
Oh, Maria-Angela, I think you're muted.
That is a terrible mistake. But anyways, I am now unmuted. And I wanted to say that thank you, Erika, because thinking about the young generations, as changes Arya, Elaine, and yourself were saying, is the focus of SEG. We want to bring this knowledge that geophysics is an option for all sectors where we want to apply sustainability and work towards these noble and ambitious 17 Sustainable Development Goals for a good economic development, a good social development. Let's think about what changes said about having a local, sustainability of the initiatives that we do. And what Elaine said, let's, each region, each country have a sustainable initiative, because we cannot, organize everything alone. So this is fantastic. And I think that this round of conversation helped us to frame what we want to do. We are now just about to finalize, but as I was saying before, we need to advertise what are our next activities. Let me share that as a one last sharing that we want to do, and read some of the comments on the chat, okay? So the next roundtables will be in February and April. And in January, we will have a webinar about the sustainability goals and geosciences. Roundtable 2 will be basically on the education perspective on sustainability, with academicians being panelists. And in April, we will have a roundtable 3 about the future of sustainability. I would like to take this moment to highly appreciate the participation of Elaine Matos, Cengiz Esmersoy, Erika Kasperikova, and Dr. Arya Abubakar of key committees of SEG that are ingraining sustainability concepts and goals in what they do every day. Jeffrey, would you like to give some final remarks?
Absolutely. Thank you, Maria Angela, and thank you for your leadership and vision in helping to create this committee within the SEG. And I'd also like to thank all who attended here today, our panelists. Also like to give a shout out to Mayra Gonzalez for helping to coordinate this event, and also to the SEG more broadly, the leadership for supporting the growing initiatives on sustainability within our society. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, or even if you'd like to propose an event around a particular topic, then please feel free to email us at SEG. And I believe, Mayra, you have put your email in the chat window. So please do reach out to us so that we can sustain the Sustainability Committee going forward. So thank you all, and have a good day until next time. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you,
you
everyone. Bye.
so
Bye.
much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye all.